On this week's Hot List, Unsafe Sex. Will unmarried couples caught in bed face arrest under a new law? We get the straight answer from TIC legal analyst Sary Latief. Messing with masterpieces, activists vandalize famous artwork to publicize their causes. Would that work here? And 8 billion and counting. How we contributed to the latest population milestone. Hello and welcome. This is Hot Indonesia. I'm Dalton Tanonaka in Jakarta. Let's get to it. My co-host, Linda Ibrahim, is a writer and business consultant based in Jakarta. And sitting in for Millie this day is Cheryl Morella, managing editor of Tatler Indonesia in Jimbaran, Bali. Hot topic, and it is a hot topic. Number one, unsafe sex. A new criminal code was passed this week in Parliament, replacing laws that had been in place since Dutch colonial times. Among them are some that have human rights activists alarmed. For example, insulting the president, 3 years in prison. Abortion, still a crime. Commuting a death sentence to life after 10 years for good behavior. But the one that has many concerned in and out of the country is the law that would penalize sex outside marriage with up to 1 year in prison. And ladies, you know, we've seen the global headlines, friends, family calling, contacting us saying what's going on in Indonesia, asking if it's safe to come visit with their boyfriend or girlfriend. Let's get a clear definition of the law now from Sary Latief, TIC legal analyst, a lawyer, and journalist. Sary, do your job today for our viewers in and out of Indonesia, and as simply as possible, what is now the law and what can it do and what is the practical effect of it?
As stated in the new penal code, everyone now who has a sexual intercourse outside of marriage with someone who is not their husband or wife can be convicted of adultery with imprisonment, as you said, 1 year in jail time, or you can pay a fine in category 2. Though the crime to have sex before marriage cannot be prosecuted except when the parent or children of the individual or the couple makes an official report to the law enforcers, right? Now, the law does not take place therefore until 3 years. But yes, if you have sex and your parent tells on you or your children tells on you to the police, then that can be prosecuted as a crime.
So, and how likely is that? Very unlikely, correct?
Well, it's quite difficult. I mean, it's the same with the adultery within a marriage. The immediate spouse or children can report to the police. And, you know, I don't think the likelihood will happen that easy. Well, not until the next 3 years anyway, because we don't know what's going to be developing through this law in the living law or how this is going to be persecuted or enforced.
Well, you know, and just to be clear, in your first statement, you said having sex outside of marriage, the adultery charge. Adultery is if you're married and you have sex outside. It's not to do with the adultery law, but just a new law that talks about couples having sex outside of marriage, right?
No, Dalton. The law, the heading for this particular issue is under adultery, and they have broadened the definition of adultery to those who are outside of marriage. So this is an issue.
Okay.
New category.
Yeah, it's a different definition than international understanding.
Sure.
Okay, so let's be clear again. The headlines that have been reported around the world about Indonesian banned sex outside of marriage, they forgot to add part 2 to that, which is you must be reported by a close family member, correct? That is the whole kicker to this, which will likely never happen.
Depends, Dalton. If you're a foreigner and you're having a engagement or sexual relationship,
come on, yeah, of course, there's a chance.
With an Indonesian, there is a likelihood the parent of the Indonesian woman could report them to extort, you know, a foreigner. I'm not saying to
well,
make
that would happen.
People, but
that might happen with or without the law. I mean, that's the nature of reality here in Indonesia. Okay, Cheryl, question for Sary.
The thing that I wanted to know is who is benefited from this law, really? Who's gonna win? Let's say we report somebody or somebody got reported. So who's gonna win?
Well, no one really, if you're a human rights activist, but when the regulators were asked why was this bill passed, there are 3 points that they are, having a legal reasoning or reasoning about this is for the social engineering when it comes to protecting individual couple from public arrest by conservative religious hardliners groups, which they can no longer come into your home if you're a couple and unmarried having sex, assuming or you're having sex or cohabitation. They cannot come into their to the individual premises. Second, it also eliminating unwanted pregnancy and abortions. Again, this is their reasoning, and claim that this law will protect women from their partner not pursuing marriage when they have been involved sexually, which this will affect, again, as I say, could affect foreigners when they do engage themselves with an Indonesian woman. But that doesn't necessarily, this law, if you're a foreigner, bringing your partner to Indonesia and, you're in a consensual, committed sexual relationship, then it shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah, and I've talked to people in the hospitality industry this week, hotel operators, GMs, and they say they don't expect any problems with the new law, meaning they are not going to be the ones to report, and no one needs to show their marriage certificate when they check in. One friend of mine asked me that if they need to bring it along, and I said, no, that is not the practical effect of this law. Okay, Linda, question for Sary.
There's too much talk going on already about the sexual part. What about the basic freedom for Indonesia that's now being disturbed and curtailed by this new law? Can you talk more about what constitutes insulting the president or VP or the police, or which one is called smearing the flag? Or, can you talk more about that?
Yeah, Linda, I think with what you've just mentioned has shown a lot of freedom of speech and expressions and been taken away from Indonesians, civil society, and especially for those who are maybe not so conservative or liberal or progressive. But in relation to the actual sexual, what do you call it, a crime if you have sex before marriage, this actually controlling the parents or the family. That's what the government is actually doing. And that's been taken away from individual, whether they want to be married or not, because now sex is only given for those who are married. So it's taken away the freedom of choice of whether you want to be married or not married. Like I'm over 40 years of age. Can you imagine if I'm in a relationship and it has a sexual engagement, my mother could adopt me in, my mother can report me, or my father can report me. I mean, how ridiculous does that sound?
Yeah, and Linda, I want to ask you, how much do you think this is coming from a religious perspective?
A lot. But for me, really, I have bigger concern. I have bigger concern about now anything that we say publicly can be taken into. We're probably criticizing something very valid points, on the government, and that.
Okay, so you're talking about the defamation aspects of the new criminal code,
and how the police now you can't even apparently say something bad about the parliament member or police, and then they have the power to subjectively define which one is defamation, which one is not.
Yes.
I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, I think that's a bigger problem for all Indonesians. 275 million Indonesians are going to be facing that problem.
Yeah, and you're probably right. That curtailing of freedom of speech has bigger implications than whether or not you can sleep with someone when you're not married.
Thank you.
Yeah, and one more issue before we go, one more point is that the crime of insulting the president, which is a penalty of 3 years, up to 3 years, that won't happen practically as well, because the president himself under the law must be the one to report. And we hope we elect leaders who have thick skin and do not report everyone who criticizes them, because they're in the job for that. They're in the public eye. So I don't think that will happen very often, unless they call them an obscenity and they go crazy, but then maybe they deserve to be locked up.
Yeah, but Dalton, insulting the government or the state institutions as an institution, right? That
okay, I'm talking
prison.
about just specifically the president case. Cheryl, one last point.
There's like the Pasal 408. You cannot really give sex education to children anymore because it's not allowed. I mean, like,
right.
As a society, how are we going to do this? Like, you cannot educate them, but education is the most important thing that you have to actually tell your kids.
Yeah.
How would they know? Oh my God, I don't know. Tell me.
Well,
Sorry.
yeah, I mean, yes, Shara, I was going to mention that, if the government makes sex outside of marriage to eliminate sexual transmitted disease or HIV virus spread, and but then when do you need to educate children, exactly,
Yeah.
but they're also banning sex education. The actual word says that, the actual text says, if anybody give a sex education, meaning giving access to how that a child can have access to contraception, right? That's a crime, which is ridiculous.
Okay, guys, ladies, I think we're getting off the subject here. We got to move on, but I think what that particular aspect of the criminal code, they want to leave it to the family. Whether you agree with it or not, they're saying keep it out of classrooms, keep it out of public forums, but make sure your parents explain to you about sex education, where it begins, but it shouldn't be where it ends. Yeah, so I'm not condoning the law. Okay, thank you for the input, Sary Latief, TIC legal analyst. More Hot Indo is ahead. Messing with masterpieces. Is this the right way to make your point?
Hot Indonesia on the Indonesian channel. The programs which I was a co-host before becoming minister is a finalist once again for the best talk show at the ASEAN Television Awards. Best wishes to all nominees.
I love Indonesia. I love the food. Yummy. Wow. I'm gonna hunt for ingredients. Now I'm ready to cook. Let's go to the kitchen. It's done. Let's meet to eat.
Foodiepedia on the Indonesia channel.
Home is not just one place,
but a collection of memories in many places.
it's where conversations create connections.
And where seasons change, but not a moment is wasted.
Because it's where we live.
And the Ascot lifestyle we have come to love.
Ascot is where we want to be.
Sary Latief. You're watching the Indonesia channel, the home of good sport.
I'm Trần Minh Ngân of VCCTV Net Việt in Hanoi.
I'm Thairat Thumya of Thailand's Thairat TV in Bangkok.
I'm Monica Sambodet from the National Television of Cambodia in Phnom Penh.
I'm Raymond Go of Malaysia's TV3 in Kuala Lumpur.
I'm Glenda Chong of Singapore's Channel News Asia.
I'm Raisa Chantami of the Indonesia channel at the ASEAN Secretariat in Jakarta.
This is your weekly look into the dynamic Southeast Asia region.
ASEAN Today on the Indonesia channel.
The Best of Bali takes viewers on a special guided tour to the treasures of the island of the gods.
Well, the romantic dinner is beautiful.
The Best of Bali, only on the Indonesia channel.
You're watching Hot Indonesia with Linda, Cheryl, and me. Here's hot topic number 2, messing with masterpieces. Environmental activists around the world began a new tactic this year to get attention, vandalizing famous artwork. One group threw tomato soup at a Van Gogh in London. Most recently, protesters wrote over an iconic Andy Warhol work in Canberra. All targets were not damaged because of protective shields, but the activists got the publicity they were seeking. The art world has been shaken by these events. What do art lovers like yourself say, Linda?
I'm just being very logical here. I wrote it actually in my column in Compass a month ago. And what I said was this: look, you want it is important to draw attention and immediate action toward global climate crisis. Yes, but how do you do that? You have to get the people who to change their habits. The people who care. And you can't do that by assaulting something that may or may not mean to these people. It doesn't change the behavior or people you want to change the behavior for, So, but in addition to doing that, what's going to happen is you're going to make people angry, people who actually probably agree with you, want to do something, change, to do something with the global climate crisis. You risk to make these people angry. Third point, the craziest part is that what's going to happen is that now museums are going to ramp up. There's safety measures that's going to drive up costs, and maybe it's going to make it art even less accessible to a lot of people, to school children, to people who are less fortunate. And the last one, the silliest of them all, they glue themselves near the artwork, right? It takes an oil-based solution to de-glue these people. So
yeah, but they didn't glue themselves. They didn't glue themselves to the painting. They glued themselves to the protective shield or the wall around it.
Right,
yeah, it wasn't right. So yeah, I understand. It's like getting super glue on your hands, right? I understand. But I get why Linda, you get why these targets were chosen, because high value global news coverage. But as you said, as Linda said, Cheryl, to make change, activists need to target FaceTime or directly with the lawmakers, the people who can really make the change, the ones with direct impact on policy. Right, Cheryl?
Yes, truly. I feel like, honestly, I think that this is very disrespectful. If you want people to be aware and support your cause, you have to do it the right way. And the right way may take longer time. Not may, but it will take longer time, because you have to do it from the grassroots. You have to do it with the government. You have to start an organization. You have to do this. You have to legalize things and all that stuff. But that is the right way. And I think if you want people to actually appreciate and respect your cause, don't do it this way, because once something is destroyed, you don't know. Right now they cover it all, but you don't know. Sometimes mistakes happen and accident happens, and if that happened, would people be supporting your cause? They won't. You're going to be the one looking like idiots.
Yeah, art museum directors, the people in the art world, are trying not to comment too much on these attacks because they fear copycats or publicity going where they really don't want it. My question, Linda, could that happen here? And would the impact be as big?
Oh my God, you know what? I've been so worried that some crazy nut jobs out there, will actually do this in Indonesia, and it will be, oh my God, it will be very easy to do that because the condition of our museum, for the exception of Museum Macan, Indonesia first modern art, professional modern art museum, our other museums, Dalton, are very poorly funded, poorly guarded. It's a masterpiece. It's just hanging. You can touch them, and people have touched them. And
Yeah, let's not reveal too much about what they can do. But yeah,
that's why I've been so mad at this.
Well, then I'm thinking, should there be special or more severe penalties for cases like these involving historical treasures? I mean, it's not like doing graffiti on a park wall, right, Cheryl?
Yes, it's true. I don't think it will work in Indonesia because how are they going to do it here? Indonesians' lack of organizing things, it will destroy our galleries if they did. Seriously. Right? And I just want to know, out of how many demonstrations that actually happen here in Indo, apart from creating unnecessary chaos, what else is there? It's just chasing clouds. I hate to say it. It's just chasing clouds.
And the media coverage would be less here because we rarely get on global news except when you can't have sex when you're not married. Issues like that affect people. But hopefully it's a trend or a tactic that is resolved soon, and there aren't more copycats because if one piece gets damaged irreparably, then the cause is lost, and that's what the people need to know. Okay, more Hot Indo is ahead. 8 billion and counting. Where is the world's population going next?
Produk lokal memang handal, kreasi lokal memang spesial. Ayo beli buatan negeri, bangga sekali produk sendiri. Dari busana sampai kria, kuliner juga buatan kita. Ayo beli kreatif lokal, marilah beli produk kreatif lokal. Pejuang negeri, beli kreatif lokal, banggalah beli produk kreatif lokal.
Hello, this is Anggun and you're watching the Indonesia channel, hot programs and cool people.
Back in the Mo Bar at the Mandarin Oriental Jakarta, and the Mr. Moonlight Show invites you to its next holiday show. Enjoy 5-star music with special drinks, sponsored by Tatler Indonesia, the Indonesia Channel, Tamrin 9, and Voyage Island Gin. Wednesday, December 14th from 8 p.m. with no entrance fee. Call the hotel for reservations and see you there.
Hi, I'm Sezai Zorlu and I watch the Indonesia channel here in Istanbul, Turkey.
I'm Caitlin Turner and welcome to Yoga Bliss. Exhale, reaching down to triangle pose. Roll your knee out and up to the sky, breathing here.
Yoga Bliss, only on the Indonesia channel. This is the Indonesia Channel.
You are watching iPop Playlist.
iPop on the Indonesia Channel.
You are watching Hot Indonesia from Jakarta. Hot topic number 3, 8 billion and counting. It was the latest population milestone. The United Nations said that on November 15, the world's population hit 8 billion people. Now, the first billion came in 1803. And since then, abundant food supplies and technology fueled growth, with the last billion taking only 12 years to achieve. The UN, ladies, estimates that the next billion will come after 15 years, so it'll slow down a little bit. Cheryl, Indonesia has we always say this, the 4th largest population in the world with 275 million. Projections are that we will hit 300 million in just 8 years, in 2030. Is this growth a good thing?
I'm not sure that it is a good thing, Dalton, because I feel like if Indonesian can actually develop more areas, not just Jakarta and the big cities, then maybe it could be a good thing. But right now, they're just going to be populating the big cities, and I'm worried about that.
But the studies show that the population growth is mostly in poorer areas, yeah, the lower, medium, the income. So that would be outside of the city, because I don't want to say this, but they have nothing else to do but have babies, maybe. But to support the population, also you need the resources, and that's the concern. Linda, another thing we always say: the median age of Indonesia is below 30, 29.7 years. In comparison, did you know in Japan, the median age, it's 48.6 years. In other words, they have an old population. So,
I thought it was even older.
Okay, well, we have a very young male and female population, and with improving medical services and better food choices, people will live longer than ever.
Yeah, my worry is, I share Cheryl's concern. My other concern is about education. Formal education in Asia have been very poor. The ones that people can access, the public form of education. And then you have this new crop of babies coming in every year, and we don't really know how to educate them. Right now, that demographic bonus of 30 years of age, of a median age, hasn't really done anything good for us. It has created a generation of malcontent, actually. Underachievers, and can't get housing, can't get proper jobs, and it's been creating more headaches for us than bountiful rewards, to be perfectly honest with you. So, yeah, I'm not happy with us hitting 300 million in 8 years, as you said.
Yeah, and I think we're not saying we celebrate these numbers. We're just kind of noting it, and because of the issues you define, Linda. And by the way, the baby designated as the particular 8th billionth person was a young man named Vince Mabangsag in the Philippines. So he was here in Southeast Asia. And one more fact, India is projected to pass China with the world's biggest population in 8 years. Only 8 years. They will have 1.5 billion people. Yeah. Okay.
Dalton, if I can add just a little bit.
Add another fact here.
I just wanna say, for Indonesian, maybe we can start changing mindset as well, because I feel like most of Indonesians, their life goals are, getting married. Once they finish school, they just want to have family, have children, and get married without even knowing first who they really are, what they really want, what they're good at. Before having proper job, they don't really have financially planned for this whole thing, and it's because of society, right? Like, especially in the smaller areas, the society will look at you weird if you're over 18 and you're not married yet. And I think this needs to be changed. Otherwise, we're going to keep producing babies and we don't know what to do with them.
Yeah. Well, parents always push you, right?
Yeah, and also that you have to have both boys and girls. If you have already 2 children and they're both girls, so where's the boy, or vice versa?
Okay, I got it, ladies. And being happy and single is okay too.
Yes, totally.
Which the three of us
The
are.
burden to society is a plus point these days. Don't be a burden to society. We already get a lot of those.
Okay. Yeah, three of us are not burdens, right? It is feedback time now, and Unianti had this to say about a Muslim group tearing off signs from church donations. We need to learn to give without expecting anything in return. And this comment from Kichli on the opening of a restaurant featuring rude waiters. The customers might end up being more rude than the servers. Here's how to contact us with your feedback. Email at hotindo@theindonesiachannel.com or comment through our Hot Indonesia or Indonesia Channel Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube pages. Final words, Linda.
One more thing about the new penal code is that the reduction of minimum sentence for corruptors from 4 years to 2 years. And this is a country with a systemic corruption problem. So yeah, this is not a happy week for Indonesia, to be perfectly honest with you.
Final word, Cheryl.
Do things the right way. Even if it takes time, be patient, know your cost, and keep going.
Simple but true. And my final words, Indonesian football is back. Professional matches resumed this week in kind of a bubble situation in Central Java with all teams playing every day. Games had been stopped, as you know, on October 1st after the Kanjuruhan Stadium tragedy in which 135 people were killed. Authorities required new emergency protocols before play could resume. With World Cup enthusiasm and excitement in the background, Indonesians can once again enjoy one of their most favorite sports. And that is Hot Indonesia for this week. For Linda Ibrahim and Cheryl Morella, I'm Dalton Tanonaka. Thank you for watching. Please join us again next time.